What is up, everybody? I hope you are having a fantastic evening. Season is over. We've had a couple of days to digest that either the Seahawks or the Rams will be playing for a Super Bowl in Levi Stadium. And I don't know about you, but I think we should all be Patriots fans at this point. I don't think that the Broncos have any chance with Jared Stidham to win that game. And if they do, then they certainly aren't beating the Rams or the Seahawks with Jared Stidham. So I think we have to be Patriots fans. That's what we're rooting for. There is no way we will ever live down the fact that the Seahawks or the Rams won a Super Bowl on our home turf. So that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts about the season. Do you think it was a successful one? Do you think it was... It's possible, like me, where you think it was a successful season, but you're not necessarily excited about the future either. Are you excited about the future? I don't know. Just overall, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about this team going forward? How did you feel about this season? Maybe somebody we should sign through free agency. Whatever's on your mind, the show is yours. It is open mic night. Let me hit this intro and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports. We are giving you our take down to the last second. And as I said, it is open mic night, which means the stage is yours. And I already have a couple people waiting backstage. But first, I got to make sure that I get this right here. I'm a rookie, and I didn't set up the stream properly because that's what rookies do. So let me do this real quick. There we go. Get this here. We'll add that. Hold on a second. Hold on a sec. Why is it doing that? Nope, that's not what we want to do. We want to do this. Guys, I'll figure it out. I promise. There it is. All right. I just had to get that ready for later on. Right now, we got Alan waiting backstage. We got PJ. If you want to call in, I always say do it early. Don't be afraid. As the show goes, usually the wait times go up. Let me bring in Alan. What's up, Alan? How are you?
Hey Jesse, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Um, I want to say with this whole season, it's a successful but disappointment at the same time, right?
Okay.
I feel like it's a successful for our young defense, at least for the young guys like Upton Stout, Alfred Collins, CJ West. All of them got those crucial minutes. I feel like even Siegel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. That's the stuff, like you said, excites you, right? Trying to see their growth through the seasons. But where I get disappointed in, and I feel like you can agree on, is the offense. Nothing's
Mm.
changing with the offense. No interchangeable playing the rookies, just to see what we got to work with and stuff like that. It's a half and half how I feel with the season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess my whole debate with Coach the other night was like, I feel good about the season. They definitely exceeded expectations, but do I feel good about the future? And to your point, like, yes, the defense, they were able to play a lot of young players, but even then, it's like Michael Williams, Alfred Collins. That's your first two picks, right? Your first round pick, your second round pick. And both of them need to develop and improve. Well, Michael Williams, we already knew had a torn ACL. So his development in year two during the offseason is going to be non-existent, essentially, because he's going to be rehabbing. And then we just found out today that Alfred Collins has a shoulder thing, and he's going to be out with surgery, most likely up until training camp. And so both your first two round picks aren't going to have the offseason to improve. They have to rehab from their injuries. So as good as they were and as good as they showed flashes, that improvement that they both need, their growth is going to be stunted a little bit. So that's discouraging as well.
Yeah, and then like the fact that I don't know, it's just we have to see this off season. What there's got to be a change, and then especially with this whole injury thing, right? I heard somebody brought it up in the press conference. I'm not one with the whole. electric train bull crap. I'm not into that stuff, right? I don't believe that. It
Mhm.
just feels like a little excuse, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like they should do like a changing training staff or something. Like you said, try something new, right? Even if it don't work, at least you could say you tried an effort of trying to help your players out and stuff like that. But I don't know, I got to see
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah, I do too. I do as well, and, it's interesting because I think the team could potentially be better on paper, but worse next year because of the schedule, and so it's like, I didn't know I didn't know if the team was actually as good as they were at times or as bad as they were at times. Like, I was really left perplexed about this team, and I think a lot of it was because of the schedule, and I'm curious to see what it looks like next year with that much tougher schedule because it's not gonna be easy to make the playoffs next year.
Yeah, but with that scheduling thing, Jesse, I know you can back me up here. Is this
Mhm.
most of these teams that we're about to play next year has a lot of new coaches, right? And they're not gonna be set in stone with how to run the plays or the way that the head coach is trying to put into, right? So I could feel like there'd be a lot more optimism on that schedule than most people could think about. But my whole thing is, man, I feel like we need to get right in the trenches, right? That's
Mm.
both O line. My whole thing, is especially O line, because the way we got mollywopped by the Seahawks like that, man, is kind of ridiculous.
It was the worst loss in divisional playoff history in the divisional round. That's
And of course, had
pretty
to be
bad when you
us.
slice it. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, had to be us. Nobody else had to be the Niners.
Yeah, of course. That's the way it works.
And then
So,
I wanted to get your input before I head out because I know you got the callers.
mhm.
What's your input about the rumors of potentially getting Jordan Addison and how he'll fit with their scheme?
Listen, Jordan Addison is a good player. I have zero qualms about Jordan Addison as a player, but you're going from a malcontent receiver situation to another one potentially. I mean, this is a guy who's been arrested multiple times off the field. Now, I know recently his last charges were dropped, but he's a bonehead. He's definitely a bonehead. And so you do worry about that with a contract coming up with him too, which makes it even tougher. So I don't know. I don't know how excited I would be about Jordan Addison. I do like him as a player, but I would probably pass on him personally.
Well, all right, I agree, Jesse. But all right, thank you for your time, man. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
brother. Yeah, you too. You too. I could hear it in Alan's voice. Normally, Alan's pretty chipper. It's like, Jess, good to talk to you, man. How's things? How's life? How's the kids? Let's grab a beer and chat it up. Alan is a little disappointed, man. You could tell this season, the end of the season, definitely took it out of Alan. So I heard that for sure. But yeah, man, I don't. I listen. I'm not against taking on a player or two like this. In fact, I almost encourage it. I think every locker room needs a player kind of like that. But when it's a player that you have to sign and there is a risk that he's going to miss games, not because of injury, but because of off the field stuff, that I can't get with. Now, if you're just kind of I don't know, pain in the butt on the field like Pickens can be sometimes, or AJ Brown or something like that, like, okay, you know what? DJ Moore, I'll take that. Like, I feel like this locker room can absorb that type of player. But if you legitimately are a risk to miss time, I don't think I can get behind that one. So I'm good on Addison personally. All right, let's see what PJ's talking about. What's up, PJ?
Hey Jesse, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I want to say that I think this season has been bigger picture has been successful, by far exceeded expectations. I would say my prediction before the season was 9-8 and missed the playoffs, and they made me look like a fool because they clearly won 12 games instead of regular season play. I'm very proud of the grit they showed and how much they overcame with all the injuries and stuff. So that was awesome. And I'm proud of what they've done. I do think that they've got a lot of work to do because they got a lot of needs for this team. And I agree with you on your show from the other day on Monday when you were talking about that we have to be practical as far as understanding what the long term needs are for this team. I think we need to really start getting more younger guys, get some more speed on this team because this team is old and slow. We really have to start improving the roster. We are so behind. We're behind Seattle and the Rams. Although the Rams, the quarterback situation, we don't know how long Stafford's going to play, but we've got to play catch up. I think that we spend so much time trying to keep signing our old vets, and they're breaking down. And we got to start getting younger and start getting real Pro Bowler-ish type players, so we can start having a good young squad, so we can kind of take back the division again. I just feel like we have to start playing catch up a little bit. And I think we got to improve this roster. We have a lot of needs.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that this team hasn't drafted well for so many years, and we know that they can. Somebody had a great comment from the show on Monday. They left a comment afterwards, and I agree with them. It was like, it's not like the 49ers can't draft well because they've done it in the past, but it's just been so long that you have to go with what the trend is. And the trend is, yes, they are getting decent players, but they're not getting those difference makers. And usually difference makers are round 1, round 2 guys. You're not usually going to get them round 4, 5, 6. Now, the 49ers have been lucky in doing that with guys like Kittle and Warner and Purdy, but most of the time, those impact players are coming round 1, round 2. And their round 1 picks in particular have been atrocious, absolutely atrocious. So it's really hard to imagine that with the 27th, 28th pick, that they're going to find an impact player when they haven't done it in so long. Yes, they could do it, but the likelihood is that they don't. And when you're watching teams like Seattle and the Rams in division get impact player after impact player in their drafts, well, if that trend continues and your trend continues, you're going to fall even further behind these teams. And that's the concern I have.
I totally agree. And personally, I think you brought this up at the show. I think Grant's mentioned it before too. I really think that they need to change their infrastructure as far as personnel decision making, the way they draft, evaluating talent. They need to get someone who actually has a good track record of gaining these blue chip premier players and get someone neutral to evaluate the talent and assist or be in full control of picking these players because my first round picks have not been good. Michael, the jury might be out because he got hurt. He's been hurt most of the year. Ricky Pearsall, I don't know what to say about him. Now you obviously see how it turned out after a few years. You see how it turned out, and then we have Nick Bosa, who's had 2 ACL injuries in 5 years. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. I did want to ask this too. I'm not sure if you heard about it or not. Maybe you have. I know you got some sources and everything. What are your thoughts about? I heard there was some rumors going around that the Niners might be considered moving on from Renard Green and Ricky Pearsall. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but I heard about it early this evening with Grant streaming earlier, and then some super chat that he wanted to show on Monday. So he heard that Larry heard from in the building that they might be considering moving on from those two. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, and PJ, I'm gonna cut you loose here after that. I'm gonna answer the question just because sounds like you're like underwater or something. So I don't know what's going on, but I did hear the question and I will answer it. But I want to make sure that I can get to the next person, and then I don't know. Like I said, it sounds like you're underwater. I do appreciate you calling in though. Great call overall. So the 49ers could be moving on. I assume you said from Pearsall and Renardo Green. I think those are the rumors that are going around. Sure, I guess. I don't know. The way that I look at the Pearsall thing and Renardo Green is, what are you going to get for him? Like, if you trade Ricky Pearsall now, he's going to be 26 years old. He's going into year 3. He hasn't proven that he can stay healthy. He's had maybe 3 good games in his career. Like, you're not going to get a lot for Ricky Pearsall. So I guess why not just keep him at this point? I mean, does he really have? Is it really addition by subtraction? If you feel like it's addition by subtraction, then make that move, I guess. But I don't think we're to that point with Ricky Pearsall. I feel like if he can turn it around, his impact here would be far greater than it would be by trading. I don't know. If you trade him, you're probably getting like a 5th round pick, to be real with you. I can't imagine you to get much more. I don't know why a team would give up more for him. So 2 years after drafting him in round 1, you're getting a 5th round pick, or you could take the risk, give him 1 more year, and if things pan out, then all of a sudden you got a pretty good player. Maybe he doesn't live up to the expectations of a 1st round pick, but maybe he's like a 2nd or 3rd round pick and he's a contributor and he's a true number 2 wide receiver for you. I think that's probably a lot more worth it. But, I could also see why the 49ers would just be done with the project altogether. I just think, to me, it's a little bit premature. So just because you're not going to get the value for him, that's me personally. So we'll see. Appreciate the call, PJ. All right, we got Scuba Pat and then Eric. What's up, Scuba Pat?
How you doing, man? What's going on?
What's going on, man? I love the name.
A Big Daddy reference. I was on Coach's show the other day. Well, after the game,
All right.
and he asked the same thing you did. He said, "Do you feel the season was a success?" And I said it was a success, but now that I'm thinking about it, was it really a success? We just got stomped out by the Seahawks. Stop. Like the shit wasn't like close. You see what I'm saying? That's number one. Number two, the thing about the Niners, which I don't understand, they're always drafting somebody for a scheme. The 1st round pick, scheme, 2nd round, scheme. They never take best available. Why is that? Why?
It's Half Dead actually brings up a good point here. He says they draft like they're smarter than everyone. And it's true because they reach based off of the consensus big boards and what everybody else, for the most part, thinks that players are worth. And it's almost, to me, Scuba Pat, like they are drafting for needs for 1 year only. Like they look at it and be like, oh, these are our immediate needs. We got to go get it for this year. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Is that the best move for the next 3, 4, 5 years? No, we need defensive line. Okay, we're drafting all defensive linemen. What if that's not the best available player? Then don't draft defensive linemen. It makes no sense.
Exactly. And then also, like, a thing that bothers me too with our Niner faithful, everybody's like, oh, we got to get rid of Kyle Shanahan and we got to get rid of Lynch. Well, who do you get? Who's on the market that you can get that's better? That you're going to have success with? You see what I'm saying? Like, you take Kyle away, okay, he's gone. Now you get another coach. He might not be an offensive guy. He's a defensive guy. Now you got to go get an OC. Like, all that shit compounds. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, with Kyle, like, you have an OC and you have a head coach. And for the most part, I get it. Like, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. But, like, sometimes, too, you got to look at, like, what happened during them Super Bowls, too, man. Like, the one Super Bowl with Jimmy G, the overthrow to Emmanuel Sanders, bro. Like, the missing blocks, bro. That's not Kyle's fault, bro. Like, we try to pin this shit on Kyle a lot, bro. But the players got to take accountability, too, bro. Like, all that shit ain't Kyle's fault, bro. For real. And then
the Kyle one I do agree with. Lynch, though, I think that there's plenty of good options out there. I mean, you can go steal someone from all these other front offices. My thing with Lynch is I know that he's not a true scout. Like, he doesn't know how to scout these players at that level. And I think that if he's the one that's running these drafts, then he has to be replaced, So Lynch, I can understand. I would actually be in favor of it. Even if you kept him around and just made him the president or something like that, that would be fine. You don't have to remove him from the building. I think he's an asset to the front office. I just don't know if he's best suited to be an actual GM and make the picks, if that is in fact who is making the picks, and I assume that it is. But Shanahan, especially now, man, You're not going to find a replacement with 9 other teams that are looking. There just isn't enough good candidates. There isn't.
There's not. There's not. There's not. And how do you feel about? Did you watch their press conference today?
I did. Yeah, I did.
How do you feel about them saying that they're going to be aggressive as far as like the trading and in the free agency? Do you think they was talking bullshit? Because I think let's be talking some bullshit. I'm not gonna lie.
I think last year they were so unaggressive that any form of like just the littlest bit of aggressiveness will be like, wow, look at them go. So I don't know that it'll be like a couple off seasons ago where it was like Javon Hargrave, the big swing like that. I do think that they'll be a little bit more aggressive, and maybe their aggressiveness is trading their own guys. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I know you got to get some other callers, man. But thank you for having me up, man. I appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
All right. All right.
All right. Scuba Pat, man. There we go. Great name. All right. We got Eric Dane. Then we got Korean 49er. Eric Dane, Brock Purdy's #1 fan. What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, Jesse? How are you?
Good, man. It's been a while.
Oh, yeah, man. You know me. I love Brock Purdy, dude. Can't get enough of Brock Purdy.
He's your favorite.
Yeah, no, you're right. It has been a while. You got I noticed you stopped doing call-in shows. You got a little big time for all us little people down here. You know what it was? I noticed this. It was when you had that tweet about Trent Williams tipping plays, and all of a sudden it became national news. They're talking on ESPN. They're like, local reporter Jesse Naylor breaks this story, and you're tweeting about you, and that's when you were like, oh man, I'm big time now. So yeah.
Stop doing the call-ins. Yeah, that's how that went.
Pretty much. I don't have time for the little people anymore. No, but I mean, I'm doing good. I'm doing a lot better than the 49ers are. I noticed when I was watching the show with you and Coach, and I mean, he was all over the place. He said himself that they're not going to make the playoffs next year, but he thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl in the next 2 years, which means that they're going to win the Super Bowl 2 years from now if they're not making the playoffs next year. He also said that they're going to rebuild the team through the draft and free agency, except they haven't been drafting well, which was what he said, and we have less cap space than the Seahawks and Rams in free agency. Other than that, yeah, things are looking great. But I don't know, man. I think we're on the downward spiral or the downward trajectory of this current window, this current bubble. I think it's a lot like Jim Harbaugh, where you had that window, you had a team that was Super Bowl competitive, and you didn't break through, you didn't actually win the Super Bowl, and then things started to go wrong. Players got older, they got more injury prone, you didn't have the good drafts to replace them, and then you just completely fell off. We're now third in our division. We're trailing the Rams and the Seahawks. I know, the Seahawks have a great defense. They obviously held the 49ers to 9 points in the last 2 games that they played combined. But does anyone think that they're going to hold the Rams to anything like that? Does anyone think Matthew Stafford is going to get completely shut down? And the only reason I'm saying that is, as not Brock Purdy's #1 fan, I just want to point out that a real quarterback can find openings in any kind of defense. Matthew Stafford is going to have success against the Seahawks because they have built a modern passing attack. They have wide receivers that can run downfield and catch the ball, not just whatever kind of whatever we're doing. I mean, it's incredible how they're suddenly short on wide receiver after all the draft capital they've invested in the position. First round pick on Ricky Pearsall, first round pick Brandon Ayuk, second round pick Deebo Samuel, and we have no wide receivers. It's incredible. I don't know how anyone can have optimism other than just the traditional any given Sunday. Maybe the ball bounces our way. Yeah, if anything could happen. But in general, I mean, think about it this way, man. What needs to happen for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl? I'm going to list some things that I think would need to happen for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. Then you guys tell me if you think that these things are likely or not. Number one, they need to draft well. You got some holes on the team that you need to fill with young talent, cheap talent, because you got a lot of cap space committed at other positions. So number one, you got to draft well. Number two, you need to go into the playoffs with Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, George Kittle, and Nick Bosa, all healthy. You need all of them healthy for the playoffs. Does that seem likely to anybody? Now, you're also going to need Brock Purdy to play at least 3, most likely 4 straight good playoff games. In how many playoff games have he played so far in his career? 8, I think. In 8 career playoff games, he's thrown more than one touchdown only twice in 2 of those 8 games, and one of them was against the Eagles, where he also had 2 interceptions. Okay, so in order for if you want to be optimistic, you need to draft well. You need all the stars in the team to be healthy. You need to win 4 straight playoff games with Brock Purdy playing well. Oh, and by the way, you also have to replace Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator, which we've seen has been hit or miss at times. Robert Saleh, great defensive coordinator. DeMeco Ryans, great defensive coordinator. Some of the other guys they've tried, not so much. And Kyle, as good as he is at drawing up plays on offense, if he doesn't have a good defensive coordinator, that defense is not going to be very good. So I want to be optimistic. I'd like to be optimistic, but like I said, you're going to have to draft well. You're going to need all those players making the playoffs healthy. You're going to need Brock Purdy to play 4 straight good playoff games. You need to find a new defensive coordinator where the wheels aren't going to fall off on defense. I don't think that's very likely. And it looks to me like all the I think if Trent Williams plays one more year, I think that's got it. I don't see how he could play more than one more year. Christian McCaffrey already starting to fall off. George Kittle, how old is George Kittle? 30? I mean, he's getting a little bit older. He's
going to be, 33 next. I think he'll be 34. Like, if an Achilles takes until the second season to be fully healthy, he'll be 34 when he's fully healthy again, which is not ideal.
Yeah, and I totally agree with what you were saying to Coach the other day. Like, this is where if you're going to maintain a dynasty like the Patriots or like some of these other teams, and yeah, there's always a little bit of a lull period where they fall off, but then they were replaced by new talent. The Patriots drafted Rob Gronkowski, stuff like that. That's what gave them their second run. They started off with defense, Vince Wilfork, Teddy Bruschi. When those guys retired, they had like a down period. Then they brought in new young talent in the draft, and that's how they built the team back up. And like the last guy said, they don't draft best player available. They don't even draft like best at that specific position that they want. They go for a position, but they don't necessarily go for the best guy at that position. They go for the one that fits Kyle's scheme. And when Kyle's scheme is working, it's fine. But the margin for error, it's not a traditional. We don't have like a Justin Herbert, like drop back and rip the ball kind of quarterback. We don't have like a Devontae Adams or whatever, Justin Jefferson, get downfield, get open, beat your guy. We have guys that fit Kyle's system. We have, Kyle Juszczyk, who's great in the system, but the margin for error, and another thing that needs to happen for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl, you have to always be playing with the lead because this team is not designed to come back. Well, that's why everyone here, if you're listening, when you saw the Seahawks run back that opening kickoff for a touchdown,
I knew
most
it was
of
over.
us, I'm sure our first thought was, oh no, that's not good. It's going to be difficult to come back from that. Because we don't have the kind of team. We're not built. We're built to get a lead and then run the ball, pound the rock, grind away, and then let the defense get after them. And if the defense has injuries, if you're trailing, you're not going to come from behind. So, I don't know. I do have a plan. If you got another minute for me to tell you, I don't want to take up too much time.
I got like 8 people waiting. So I was about to say,
make it quick.
that's
Here's
it.
my plan.
Quick, you got 30 seconds.
Okay, you tell me what you think. So we are going to trade Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy to the Oakland Raiders for the number 1 overall draft pick. We're going to draft Mendoza, and then we're going to sign his college coach as our new head coach. So we reset the timetable on the rookie contract. We got 5 years Mendoza on a rookie scale. That'll give us a little bit extra cap space in order to fill in some of these gaps. Maybe bring in a replacement for Trent Williams when he retires. Some of that. And another thing, we need to get true between the tackle running back. We need to move Christian McCaffrey to slot receiver. Christian McCaffrey is not a between the tackle running back anymore. He's like 3 yards per carry, but he is excellent in the passing game. So I would move him around. If you want to put him in the backfield, that's fine. But when it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and you just need to run the ball, I don't know if that's Brian Robinson Jr. or somebody else. We should get a real running back for that. Use Christian McCaffrey as slot receiver, move around the formation, use him more in the passing game.
All right, I'll talk. Let me mull this one over. All right, Eric. I appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
Number 1 overall pick.
All right. Maple Missile, anyone? I mean, come on. He was just on Indiana. Listen, I couldn't do it for an unknown player. Now, if you would have said to Buffalo for Josh Allen, sold. But no, I couldn't do it for Mendoza. I couldn't do it. I do like the call overall, though. Brought up a lot of really good points, a lot of things that have to go right in order for this team to win a Super Bowl. And I think he's right on most of those. And the likelihood of it happening, not so much. All right, let me bring in Korean 49er. What's up, Korean 49er?
I'm good, Jesse. I was watching a hockey game, so I forgot about the 8:30ish.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
favorite
you're
my
good,
favorite
bro.
team
You're
was
good.
playing. Hockey team was playing. So
Who's
it
your
is what
favorite
it is.
hockey team?
Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, okay. All right, all right. I like it. I like it.
So well, I watched the opening kickoff of the game and then turned it off to something else. I knew there weren't. The game was done.
I know. I felt the same way. You know, I had to write this stupid poem to Sam Darnold if the 49ers lost. And as soon as that opening kickoff happened, I started working on the poem. Not going to lie.
Yeah, I can understand. My brother lives out in that area, you know, uh, closer to Idaho, but he still lives in Washington in the Seahawks land, so he's happier than a tick in a dog's armpit. But we'll leave that one be. So right now, if I'm Kyle, I would do the Mike Tomlin. You've done everything you
Mm,
can. Go out while if I'm Eddie DeBartolo, I would have fired him before the second Super Bowl loss. Do you think Eddie would have put up with Kyle and what he's been doing? I don't think
no, I think
so.
Eddie would have fired him a while ago. Yeah.
I mean, didn't Eddie
Not that
fire
not that it's right, but he would have. He fired Seifert after 2 rings, so,
and he more or less forced out Bill Walsh
Bill
after
Walsh, yeah.
10 seasons and 3 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
I
Yeah. He
mean,
forced them both out, basically, is what he did. He didn't technically fire them, from what I remember. So he just forced them out.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if this organization thinks they're going to be going places, you have two teams that are vying for the chance of playing and winning the Super Bowl in your home stadium. Doesn't that
Hmm.
give you any reflector pause and the way the direction of the team?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely worried about the direction of the team long term. I mean, again, I think that here's one thing that we have to praise Shanahan for, and this is why I don't worry the way that other people worry when it comes to firing Shanahan. And I'm not advocating to fire Shanahan, so don't mishear what I'm saying. But the argument to not fire Shanahan for most people is exactly the same. Well, what are you going to do? He's going to go find a job immediately. And what do you want? Jim Tom Sula again? It's like, no, you don't. The nice thing about Kyle Shanahan is he's brought some pageantry back to the 49ers. Like they're a desirable place to work again and be a head coach again because of what Kyle Shanahan did. And so we definitely owe him gratitude for that. But because of that, it means that when you get rid of Shanahan, you don't have to go to the Jim Tom Sulas or Chip Kellys. You're going to get top tier talent that wants to be here. The problem is doing it this offseason makes zero sense because you got other great franchises, which normally this does not happen. But you got teams like Buffalo, who's a storied franchise. You got teams like the Ravens, who have become a storied franchise and well coached with excellent quarterbacks. They need coaches as well. So you're not like the apple of everybody's eye. You wait another season, you probably would be. So I don't know. You definitely, if you're gonna fire Shanahan, you're certainly not doing it this offseason. That would be stupid. But you can't just be like, well, we can't fire Shanahan because no, you're not gonna get stuck with Tom Zula anymore. That's not the way that this is gonna work.
My problem is there's a good portion of 49er fans never lived through what the Walsh and the Seiferts of going and winning championships, and they're saying, "Oh, Kyle is getting us all these victories, getting us into the playoffs." Playoffs are nice, but
Yeah.
what are you doing with them?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's where
I
I'm
agree.
coming in and thinking, "Thank you for doing what you're doing. I think you've taken the the team and the franchise as far as you can." I mean, he keeps going back and reverting to all his flaws of not continuing to do things that were working. Understand if they stop working, you go to a different plan. But I mean, if Town just was open and getting making catches and that's working, why are you stopping? I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. To me, it's like you showed this when you were in the first few years of your tenure, of the tenure. Now you're going back and reverting. I thought every year is supposed to not try to do the same flaws and
Yeah.
errors that you did before.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like we're in pretty close to not a full rebuild, but close to it. Like it's a major retool that's happening right now. And so, you know, this you got to trust that this front office can do it all over again and do it in a position that's going to make you true competitors for many years. So we'll see how it goes.
Two last points. If you look at some of the last Rams since the last Super Bowl they won,
Mm-hmm.
look, they rebuilt their defense with draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
We can't and this franchise doesn't hit on many draft picks.
Yeah, not the early ones anyways.
I mean, I just go by what the record says, and you have another, and Seattle is doing, going places with McDonald being a very good coach. I mean, he's, beating Kyle. I mean, in the past two games, you see what Kyle has no answers, or appears to have no answers.
Well, I'll tell you this. If the 49ers make the playoffs next year, but they get taxed by Seattle twice, then Jed York's really got to look seriously about whether this is the right thing to continue to do going forward. Because if McDonald truly has figured out Shanahan, and I'm not there yet, by the way, I'm not fully there yet, but like if they own the 49ers going forward for the next year and sweep the 49ers and maybe again knock us out of the playoffs or something, you got to probably move on because you're just not going to get over that hump. McDonald then has figured him out.
Yeah. Also, on the UFC question for the weekend,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
who do you have, Pinblatt or Gates? I can't pronounce his name.
Gaethje.
Yeah.
Patty Pimblett. I think Patty Pimblett's too young, too slick. Gaethje's becoming a little bit chinny as he's aged. The last time we saw him was in the BMF belt with Max Holloway, and he got KO'd cold flat. So I don't know how he's going to recover. I think Patty Pimblett, I don't think he has like the one KO like knockout power, but I think that Gaethje's fight IQ is really low at times, and I think Patty Pimblett's is pretty high. So I'm going to go with Patty Pimblett to win that one.
All right, that's fair. Thank you, Jesse.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, later.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, man. We're gonna go Dr. Rockman, Gizmo Maltese, Tyler, Marketing Pro. That is the order. Let me get to Dr. Rockman. What's up, Doc? How you doing?
What's going on, Jess? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Yep.
All right. Well, so what's the topic of conversation? I
Well,
forgot.
so it's wherever you want to go. I guess my question that I posed at the beginning was, are you happy with the way that the season went? And
Okay.
are you optimistic about the future of this team?
Okay. So I think it'd be hard to say. I think it'd be hard to argue against being content with at least having a good season
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. Now, as for the trickier question is the optimism moving forward. I would argue that I'm not as optimistic about the team moving forward, and the reason is um, is I don't know. There's so many different you know uh, there are so many different things that are tied to the optimism being low. But I don't think the 49ers is a well run organization anymore at this point. Um,
Mm.
I think I think Kyle Shanahan's system is it's probably still effective, but to what degree it's effective, remains to be seen. I think the book is out that John Lynch has been pretty bad as a GM, which has created severe roster deficiencies. And I think that the ownership is, not willing to spend, nearly as much money. They they had the opportunity to get a couple of free agents last year. We rolled over cap this year, so it's not like we were maxed out with the cap. They just did not want to spend. For what reason? People have their theories, but they didn't want to spend. When you combine all of those things, and you get a firestorm of mediocrity. One one of which we saw on full display on Sunday, and and that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem, and it started multiple years ago with like you said earlier, drafting for need, um, drafting to fit Kyle Shanahan's scheme rather than taking best player available. Um, I tend to think that Brock Purdy is a capable quarterback. You can win with him. He can probably win a Super Bowl. But the way that the team is currently constructed, um, you're gonna be very hard pressed to see Brock Purdy, let alone anybody, really take this team. I look back, and there's a lot of I know there's a lot of talk. It's like, oh well, Brock's contract, and you know who can you sign, and you can't build a team and things like that. And then I look at every other team that was in the playoffs, and you could and I just go, wide receiver, like I would take and if you just looked at every weapon, every player on offense, defense, whatever you would call, and I wouldn't take any of the 49ers players over like just about anybody, you know. Um, and
Yeah, if you stack up roster for roster, like I would take the Eagles roster, I would take the Rams roster, the Bears roster, the
yes,
Seahawks roster. Like, yeah, I see what you're
yes,
saying. Yeah, yeah.
I would take the Panthers roster. I mean, give me T Mac and Jalen Cooker
Yeah.
with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard,
Hmm.
right? Like this team was propped up by good coaching and decent quarter and pretty solid quarterback play this year.
Hmm.
And I don't buy the whole I don't buy into the whole, oh well, the schedule was easy. Yeah, the schedule looked easy when it came out. I think now that the season's over, you can go back and you can look at the strength of schedule. And I think the 49ers finished 15th. So it wasn't
Hmm.
the easiest schedule. It ended up being in right like dead smack in the middle. And the three teams that had easier strength of schedule, the Seahawks, the Broncos, and the Patriots. The
Hmm.
only team that had a harder strength of schedule is the Rams, right?
Hmm.
So the whole argument that, oh well, you had an easy, a lot of people have easy schedules. It's what you do with it, right? And I don't think any of those teams in the Final Four are gonna you know uh, be disappointed with their accomplishments because their strength of schedule wasn't like number one. So all that being said, the schedule's going to get harder next year. Um, the depth on the team as well as the premier bookend talent is damn near non-existent, and every other team around you has continued to excel over the last 2 to 3 years, while this team has declined for various reasons. And that's it's just going to be a really tough ask. I do think it's possible, but it's going to require some soul searching. In my opinion, I do think I do think uh, you've got the coach, right? You got the coordinator, offensive coordinator, whatever. We'll see about the Gus Bradley thing, but I think you've got the coach and the quarterback. Now you got to kind of have to build it out. I think that in reality, if I would be a little more optimistic if I saw the 49ers in free agency go and address basically all of their maybe not all, but most of their offensive needs. So all of the receivers, because we know that Kyle Shanahan is going to draft. Like if they draft an offensive skill position player, that person will not see the field
That's
for
true.
for
No,
two
that's
years.
true. That's very true. Yep, that's very
So
true.
so that and that's fine. If that's if I'm John Lynch or the Yorks or whatever, and I know that that's how he operates. Well then I'll just work around him. I'll use that first pick because he'll play lineman, right? They played what was his name, Connor Colby, and
Yeah.
like they'll play linemen. So it's like, okay, if we want to take that first pick and get a tackle or a guard or a high end defensive player to fill need or something like that, that's fine. Just don't take a skill position player. Don't take any
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
those guys in free agency. And I think if you do that, then you have the opportunity to see the team turn around really quickly. So if you go out and
All
spend that
right.
free agency money on Alec Pierce and uh, I don't
Isaiah
know,
Likely or something like that.
yeah. Give me two skill position players that we know that Kyle is going to play this year, and then all the other guys, cornerback, safety, um, a guard or something like that. Get those guys in the draft, and I think, I think I'll be a lot more optimistic. But if they
All
go out
right.
and they,
Well, we'll see. We'll see what they do, man. They gotta. The other thing is like CMC, man. Are they really gonna ride him again till the wheels fall off? Like it's not gonna go well. There's no way he can do this again in back-to-back seasons at 30 years old. I don't know. That's the other one.
yeah, well, I would make the argument that he didn't do much this year. There's this weird infatuation with, not being able to necessarily criticize, high marquee players. But as far as a running back, I think he was pretty trash.
Yeah.
And like I'm not ashamed to say that, but like he was a good receiving running back.
Great
But
receiving back. Yep.
but what good are you to me if it's 3rd and 1 and I can't line you up and you go get me a yard? I mean, he averaged, what was it, the lowest yard? What was it, 3.something, 3.2,
3.9
3.9?
yards, but the only reason it was 3.9 is because he had a couple, like the Bears and the Colts at the very end. Like he kind of went off, but he was at like 3.4 or something going into those games. So
Yeah, like he was very, very ineffective as a running back, which is something that I take into consideration when I
yeah,
evaluate the offensive performance of the team and as a whole. When I'm looking, whether you're looking at Brock or Mac or whatever, it's like, to do all this when in reality they didn't have a run game, you
yep,
know, and
yep, at all.
it's tough, and then they wasted another, they traded a pick for Brian Robinson, didn't see it, like, why, for what, you know.
All the way through, all the way through. All right, Doc, I appreciate it, man. Good call.
Well, appreciate it. I will continue to
All right,
terrorize
man.
you in the chat, though.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate it. I wouldn't expect anything less. I do, speaking of chat, somebody brought this up. Audio Plug says, I don't know why everybody's tripping about the loss. We all saw it coming with how crippled they were. It's not about the loss. I think pretty much everybody so far, Audio Plug, the two questions at hand are you happy with the season? And are you optimistic about the future? Are you happy about the season? Pretty much everybody's like, yes, of course. They exceeded expectations. But are you optimistic about the future? That's where the hang up comes. And so I think that's what people are tripping about more than anything is the optimism, the future of this team. So, all right, let me get to Gizmo Maltese here.
Hey,
What's up,
hi,
Gizmo?
Jesse. Can you hear me?
I got you. Yep.
Yeah, so I wasn't too optimistic about the season, like after that crushing loss. So the thing with that loss is just that it was pretty demoralizing, just losing so badly when we only lost like by it was a 10, I mean by a few points in the last game. But then I sort of remembered, I don't know if you remember the 1993 or so NFC Championship game. So like the prior year, the 49ers, lost at home to Dallas, right? And then so we came back in the NFC Championship game hoping to get some revenge, and they crushed us. The score was like 28-7 at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
So we were
Yep.
completely obliterated. But the following season, the front office made their moves, and we came back and we beat Dallas and we won the Super Bowl that year, right? And so I think this season is somewhat like that. I mean, this team is not as great as those teams, but I think that we're sort of, I mean, we beat the Eagles in the playoffs on the road, and I feel like we're about as good as the Eagles and the Patriots and the Broncos, etc. I think we're at that level, right? We beat the Bears, we beat the Bears, and so I think we're sort of at that level, and we just need some front office moves, and also we have to consider the injuries, right? So we had a ton of injuries, and so the question is, what if we were healthy? Would we have won? I think we probably would have won that game against Seattle at the end of the season. We could have had the number 1 seed, and I think then we would have had a legitimate chance at winning. So I think, if the front office needs to sort of their chips in for next year, because we're only going to get older, and I think next year is really our shot. If we can be healthy, and if we could fill in a few pieces, especially in the running game. So that's where I feel like Kyle has sort of lost his vision. Like if you remember, like in 2019, right? We had this really great running game, and it was dominant. We had two backs, and we ran the ball all over the Packers in the playoffs. And now we have, like, I agree with the previous caller. We have CMC, who's just no longer a good running back, right? He's a good receiving back, but he's no longer a good running back. And I think Kyler sort of lost sight of that. And so if we could get a couple of good guards or a strong center and just rebuild that running game, get some running backs in there, and be healthy, you know, I think we could win the Super Bowl for sure, you know.
I think that health part is the hardest one. You know, it's interesting. I went back and I watched last year's end of season press conference. Not because I wanted to and was so interested in it, but because there was something that was said in today's press conference that kind of jogged my memory, and I wanted to go make sure that I heard that they said the exact same thing last year, and they did. But the end of last season, that press conference, the same questions were brought up. What are you going to do about the injuries? How are you going to solve the problem with the injuries? And so that was the issue at the end of last season. That's the issue at the end of this season. We know that that has been the issue at the end of a couple of other seasons. So the fact that we have to rely on 38-year-old Trent Williams, 30-year-old CMC, George Kittle may not even play a snap. And if he does, he's 33 coming off of an Achilles injury. Nick Bosa, who's had 3 ACL tears. I don't know how much we can rely on staying healthy going forward, those guys in particular. And that's not even guys like Ricky Pearsall, who has proven he can't stay healthy thus far. Michael Williams is coming off of an ACL after having a major ankle injury in college. It's too much going on and too many seasons ending in that to where it's hard for me to say, let's go all in. And if they stay healthy, knowing that the likelihood of that happening is very slim to none. It just is.
Yeah, I see your point. But I mean, the only option is you go all in next year. And if it doesn't work out, then you start rebuilding the core. You know, otherwise, you know, the following year, after next year, the core is going to age even more, and you're going to have to rebuild anyway. So if not next year, then when, you know? So that's just
yeah.
I
hear you. I hear you. All right. Hey, thank you, Gizmo. Good call, man.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye.
All right, man. Later. Yeah, listen, I disagree with him, but I think it was a good call for sure. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me to think that this team is ready for an all-in year. I think there was a lot of circumstances that led to them being seemingly competitive. I know that I looked at this team, and for a majority of the season, I kept saying, gosh, I can't believe we're this late in the season, and I truly don't know what the 49ers are. And then when I finally thought I knew who they were, Seattle happened twice. And I'm like, well, maybe I didn't know who they were. Maybe maybe they just weren't that good. Is it possible that they just weren't that good and they kind of got inflated due to this easy schedule? Like, I don't know. So that's the hard part for me. Real quick, let me get to some sleeper. Get a 100% deposit match of up to $100 when you use promo code LSS. These are the picks that I've got for the championship round. I got Devontae Adams more on 50.5 receiving yards. I got Sam Darnold less on 234.5 passing yards. I got Kenneth Walker with the anytime touchdown. I feel good about that one. Obviously, there's no Zach Charbonnet. And Jared Stidham, God bless him, but backup quarterback, AFC championship, he's throwing a pick. So I'm going with the more on that. $10 to win 72. You can tail me or you can fade me, but either way, use promo code LSS. Link is pinned to the top of the description. Check out Sleeper. They've been a fantastic sponsor all year long and an amazing fantasy football app with, a little skin in the game. So go check them out for sure. All right, let's get to Tyler and then Marketing Pro. What's up, Tyler?
How you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good.
So, you saying that you're asking about the optimistic future of this team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honestly, I was not optimistic about this team going this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did they overachieve from what I expected? Yes. But the fact is, you haven't invested in the offensive line than left tackle. And we've complained about that since Kyle's been the head coach. It's been 10 years, going on 10 years. It hasn't gotten any better. So and also missing in the draft every year on your draft picks, you basically, all these issues that you've been hiding under the rug, they've came back to roost. They and it blew up in your face against Seattle and you didn't even look competitive at all. You look like a complete shell of who you are. So I've said we need to move on from Kyle since last year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just giving me more and more validation. He's not going to change. This is who he is. He doesn't invest in the offense. Oh, go ahead.
Can I ask you this, Tyler? I think it's okay to have that take. I do. But would you agree with this at the very least? That if they were to move on from Kyle, that they should probably wait one more season, just because the candidates that are out there this year are terrible and there's way too many openings. Like, the chances of you getting a solid replacement that you're not going to have to do this again in 2 seasons is probably pretty slim. Would you agree with that right now?
Sure. But also I'm like, too, it's eventually, like, there has to be someone out there. Maybe find someone in college. Maybe because I'm a huge college football fan myself too. So maybe find somebody in college and give a fresh perspective. Because the other thing too, which I've noticed, teams have adapted to Kyle's scheme. He has not adapted. He tries to pigeonhole his players into positions where they are not successful. And so I don't blame Brock for playing terrible, because you know what? Kyle set him up for failure for all these years. Because we don't invest in the O-line. And that's another thing too. We want to be a running team. And you said that Christian had 3.9 yards a carry. Well, I think that's a byproduct of because we don't invest in the O-line. Because why have a featherweight offensive line because against Chris Jones and people like that in the Super Bowl, we kept getting run over.
Yeah, I mean, it's the style of offensive line, right? It's we don't have true people movers on the offensive line. We have a finesse offensive line. So even if he does invest in it, it's going to be players that you probably don't want. Like, we don't have the maulers up front.
Yeah.
They just don't exist because he wants agile offensive linemen. So his style of offensive line is probably different than what you would be hoping for. You're looking for the guys that are like, all right, give me these guys that are huge and people movers, and we can. So I understand what you're saying. I got you.
And which is, you want to be a running team, why get guys that are not big and push people up front? And you know what? Grant said something too that really made me think. Do you know why I think that we run the wide 9 defense so much?
Why is that?
I think that he said that, if I recall, he said that we are running the wide 9 defense because we run stretch so much, and you're stretching out the defense to stop those stretch run. So I think we are running the wide 9 to stop what Kyle wants to do. Which, again, It don't
If
make
the rest
sense.
if the rest of the league's not doing that, then what is the point? Yeah, I got you.
Does that frustrate you as a fan?
It is a little weird. It almost sounds like when you talk about it, it almost makes them sound like super narcissistic. Like, well, I've got the best scheme, so why don't I just build the defense to stop me, and then we're good to go? It does sound a little weird if that's the case. I got you.
Well, no, because I've just noticed that I'm like, if you're such an offensive genius, Kyle, why are you designing a scheme on defense to stop what you want to do?
Yeah.
Does that make any logical sense?
Yeah, it does sound a little off. It does sound a little off. Tyler, I got to get to the next one, bro.
right.
I appreciate you calling in, man.
All right.
All right, later. Just so you know, Tyler was wearing a 49er jersey as he made that call. Yes, here's the thing. A lot of teams do run Kyle's scheme, but everybody's evolved. Like everybody's changed it up. Like I'll give you an example. Sean McVay is a Shanahan guy, right? But he doesn't run that same scheme anymore. He's changed it up so much. He went and got Matthew Stafford, and he's changed everything up. I mean, this whole 3 tight end set thing that he's been running, that's a new wrinkle that he came up with. Mike McDaniel even had the cheap motion that he incorporated in. Like they're taking it and they're evolving things that go along with it. So they're changing and tweaking things to where Kyle's just got the nuts and bolts of this offense. And every once in a while, like he'll see Ben Johnson do something cool and then he incorporates it a week later. It's like, all right, well, that was cool for a play, I guess. But, the 49ers have had success when they change it up and they run duo and they run power and those types of things. So I think Kyle has it in him. He's shown it at times that he will change things up and it's worked. But it just seems like when he doesn't have his guys, he just reverts back to what he's always done, and it gets stifled at times. So I don't know. Who am I? The only Flav says the Niners just won a playoff game and defending. Actually, Flav, if you're still in here, Flav and Flav only, I want you to agree, and I think that's good. I don't want everybody to just agree with my opinion, although it's the right opinion, to be clear. But Flav, if you're in here, man, click the link. I've got one more caller, and then I can go to you. I want to actually talk this through if we can. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So appreciate you. And then Alex in limbo doesn't draft well enough to build through it and can't build through free agency. Shanny and Lynch got to go next year. Double X Alex, Rams fan, wants Shanahan gone. I don't know that I should listen to you then, Alex, but I do appreciate the super chat. All right, I'm going to go to Marketing Pro here. What's up, Marketing
Big
Pro?
Dog Jesse? How you doing, man? Let me just say, the realest 49ers podcast, Big Jesse, and all you haters, know your role and shut your mouths. Jesse, keep what you're doing. And I like your honesty, bro. That's why I like your podcast, because you're not just sugar feeding them. You know what I'm saying? You're saying the different podcasters are afraid to say. So big shout out to you.
I appreciate you, bro. It's funny because I'll get the jokes like, man, more Seattle and Rams fans listening. I'm like, well, I don't know, man. Like, maybe is it possible that if you're just unwilling to hear an opinion because it hurts your feelings and it's not necessarily looking at it through rose or red and gold colored glasses, that maybe it's you who has the issue? Like, I get it. Maybe I'm a little too pessimistic sometimes. Maybe you want me to be positive sometimes. And I do. I try to sprinkle that in. I thought there was a lot of things that I talked about from the offseason where I said it was positive that they were cutting the salary cap the way that they were and investing in the future, to this season, how they've exceeded my expectations. And it was one of my favorite seasons to be a part of. I think I've been positive, but if you can't take the criticism with it, then it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's a you problem, not a me problem, but I appreciate you, Mark.
Well, they got the Lombardi-itis. us. They just been going over there and hearing all that bull over there, and then they hear you really with a more balanced, real criticism. I mean, you should be able to criticize your team when you see there's a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Can I say this? I do like to support all the content creators, and so I will always go and like pop in and just listen to people. And I'll like the video or whatever. I even with guys like Lombardi, who I vehemently disagree with. The other day I popped into his live, gave him a like. You know what he said? And listen, you can think that Brock Purdy is a good quarterback, right? Like there's evidence that points to that. You can say, hey, I think he's a franchise guy. Sure. We can disagree with that. We can go back and forth, but I do think there's enough evidence there to where that can be a real opinion of theirs. However, when they just got the sock box off of them by the Seattle Seahawks, and you say verbatim that Brock Purdy played a phenomenal game. Phenomenal game. What do you have? 130 yards passing and 2 turnovers and no touchdowns. Didn't even get to the 20-yard. Come on, man. Like that's just, you're extremely biased in the other direction. Now, people eat that up because it's positive and they want to hear all positive things. I get that. But equivalent of me coming in and being like, yeah, Brock Purdy's the worst quarterback in the league. That game showed it to me. Like that would be hate that's gone too far. And I don't even have a leg to stand on if I were to say something stupid like that. Like I can say, hey, I don't think he's a franchise guy. They shouldn't have paid him. I can make that debate and argument all day long. But if I came in and was like, hey, Brock Purdy sucks and he's the worst quarterback in the league, you really shouldn't pay any attention to what I'm saying at all. That's the equivalent of what he just did, but in the opposite direction. And it's okay. And it gets swept under the rug because people want to hear it. So I don't know.
And again,
that was asinine.
And the point I want to bring up, the Bay Area does not have a Kyle problem. And I'm glad Purdy got his money, you know what I'm saying, Play, because he went to a couple championship games, Super Bowl. But you ain't winning a Super Bowl with Purdy. He's a limited quarterback. And McDaniels of the Seahawks have been owning Purdy since his Ravens days when he had the 5-pick game. What he does, he takes away the middle of the field, and he's going to force Purdy to make throws he can't make throws. And he's got the cornerbacks to neutralize that. You guys are going to get owned by Seattle again next year, unfortunately, because McDaniels owns Purdy, and the body of work proves that. I mean, 9 points in 2 games as a starter, I mean, that's not acceptable. Especially with the Shanahan system, everybody bigs up. So I think McDonald's going to continue to own Purdy, and I think it was a mistake. Maybe they didn't bench him in that game because I'm telling you, Max scores more than 6 points in that game.
Yeah, I mean, styles make fights, and Mac's not necessarily a better quarterback, but it would be hard for me to believe that they only come away with 9 points in 8 quarters. So maybe stylistically Mac works better against Mike McDonald. Brock's clearly the better quarterback, though. He is. It's just
I would say this. I think Mac has a more versatile throwing ability. He can throw deeper to the sidelines, and Purdy just loves the middle of the field solved. And when you take the middle of the field away from him, he has a lot of problems. That's where those turnovers come. And then he tries to run he's mobile, but he's not a, Lamar Jackson, he's not going to run for 40, 50 yards. So until the 49ers, I'm going to say it again as a Rams fan. And by the way, we're going to kick the Seahawks ass Sunday. And, but, until you don't get an elite quarterback, maybe like a Joe Burrow. What about that, Jesse? Trade, because the rumors in Cincinnati is Burrow wants out. Once you offer him Purdy and 2 picks and call it a day.
Listen, I would do it in a heartbeat, but here's my fear, Marketing Pro, and this is, I started saying this last offseason, so this is not a new take based off of the Burrow rumors now. I said that in 2 seasons, Joe Burrow is going to request a trade, so not this offseason, but next. And the reason he can't do it this offseason is because he was injured a lot of this last year, right? So he has to shoulder some of that blame. But next offer is going to retire, and the Rams are going to go get Joe Burrow, and we're going to be screwed for who knows how long.
Yeah,
that's my biggest
that's
fear,
the rumor.
honestly.
Now he might retire after this year because if he's winning the MVP, but now The reason why I say the Rams are going to win, because the Seahawks have already exposed all their defensive schemes. And then if you watch that last game, McVay solved that, and then the Rams are steamrolling their defense. And the last play Stafford made was a touchdown to Puka in overtime. And then seeing that Chicago game, our special teams and defenses cleaned things up. And we intercepted Caleb, the melted Iceman, 3 times. So I think we're going to put the heat on Sam Darnold, and then the Seahawks lost one of their power backs, and the Rams are healthy now. We got Adams back, so you can't double team Puka. They couldn't blitz us the last game when they blitz us. We cooked them every time we made them pay. So Seahawks are going to be on the ropes, and we have dominated majority of the quarters. If you look at the quarters, we have led majority of it. So I don't see the Seahawks winning this game in any shape, way, or form. And you're the best podcaster for the 49ers sports, big dog. That's what I want to leave with.
I appreciate you. All right, man. Thanks, Marketing Pro. Good luck this Sunday. Listen, I think Seattle's a really good team. I do remember watching that last game with the Rams and the Seahawks, and I thought that the Rams were the clear better team. Now, they didn't win, obviously, but you had a kickoff return from Rashid Shaheed. Then you had the end around that kind of set things off. You had the weird 2-point conversion thing. There was kind of went weird and happened. Seattle won the game, and deservedly so. But I came away from that game thinking, man, the Rams are just clearly better. That was my thought then. Now, it's been a few weeks since then. The Rams have had some weird games since then. You also add in the fact that Seattle's looked really good. And so as you get further away from that game, you start to think, all right, well, maybe Seattle has closed the gap, or you kind of almost forget what it looked like the 2 times that these teams played. I'm going to stick with my original prediction. I'm going to go with the Rams to win that. And they were my preseason pick to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to change it now. I do think the Rams win, but I think Seattle's got a real serious shot. I really do. Listen, I guess I don't know. I think there have been many post games that you can come in here and find me praising Brock Purdy. We'll just use Brock as the example. Praising Brock Purdy, talking good about him, giving him his kudos, giving him his credit. I challenge you to go find something from Lombardi where he's being truly critical of Brock's play when it's deserved. So I would disagree with this one. I would disagree with that one. All right, let me bring in Flav, because I know he disagrees with my point about not being optimistic about the future, and I think it's another good point. Listen, I've got a stance. Flav has a super chat that disagrees with this, and I'm like, hey, come on, let's talk it through. Like, I'm willing to hear the other side and have a conversation. I would love for, to your point, Lombardi, who's far one way, and if I'm far the other, then I wouldn't invite things like this. So, I don't know, man. I guess. All right, what's up, Flav?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I got you. Yeah, been a long time,
Hey,
man. How you been?
good, buddy. How you?
Good, man. Good.
Well, just really quick on that other note, I'm good friends with with this guy. His name is Trevor Plouffe, who he played for the Minnesota Twins for a while, and then now he is a guy on John Boy Media, talks baseball for John Boy Media all the time, if you've seen him. But he's like best friends. When Stafford came to the Rams, Stafford moved into his neighborhood and they became really good friends. So and now he goes and sits in Stafford's box every game. Their wives are really good friends and stuff like that. He said on Sunday that Stafford is not retiring after this season. He's likely got one more year after this, but my fear was exactly the same as yours, is that if they get Burrow after this, dude, I'm gonna be so depressed, man. And I'm hoping that Cincinnati can put together a good season next year to make them want to stay there, or whatever it is, to not have them give up on them, man. But it would just be such an LA thing. Just, you see the Dodgers somehow get every player. It's like the Rams are gonna get every player and just have this machine, basically. That's the last thing I want. But I think we're at least safe for one more year. My dream is to see Jimmy Garoppolo play the Niners one time.
Just give us
Uh,
the once, yeah.
yeah. But anyways, dude, so that's that. On your points, man, I could see, like, it's not like I disagree completely with what you're saying. Like, I think
Yeah.
though, like obviously we're not in the best position right now, dude. It's we had a window. I really do think there was probably at least 2-3 years where if 19, what, maybe it was 22 and 23, or though those years, if we had this NFL that lined up with our window, I think we could have won at least 2 Super Bowls. Like,
Mm.
and so it's not just like, there's more to it than, like, if Seattle wins a Super Bowl this year, to me, we had a Seattle team. Like, and they're good, obviously. They're very, especially on defense, love their, defense, but I don't think that they're better than the 19 Niners. I don't think that they're better than the 23 Niners. Like, and they're very similar in a lot of ways. Like, great defense, quarterback that they don't really want to let throw that much. Like, and if they win, to me, it's like because they didn't have to face Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And, that's unfortunately where our window coincided with the best quarterback of our generation, um, at that time. But it's still like the thing that I hate about, I'm just going to say, like, the YouTube 49er fan base, a lot of times it's like, after a win, it's like, they're on top of the world. After a loss, it's screw Kyle. We need to get rid of Kyle. Screw this guy. He's awful. This guy and whatever. And like, if you take a step back, I mean, what they did this year was incredible. Like, I don't think there's ever been a team that started their backup for, I don't know, how many games was it? 6 games, 7 games, and then had all those injuries that ended up winning a playoff game, and versus not only a huge rival of yours that probably ended one of your best chances to win a Super Bowl a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
and at their place, um, defending champions, and they still got to win in that condition. And, like, despite all odds, I mean, that defense, being realistic, was awful. Like, especially up the
Trash.
middle. I mean, D line, trash. Linebackers, I'm sorry, these are other teams' rejects. Nobody even wanted these guys, and they're like number 5 and 6 or some shit on our depth chart. It's like, to I, I couldn't believe that they made it that far. So to, like, legitimately expect that they were going to win, like, I never had that expectation. But to me, it just showed that this is like a very tight locker room and a very well coached team. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, Kyle is an amazing coach. I think he proved that this year. 2 weeks ago, he was. I looked at the Coach of the Year frontrunner odds. He was number 1 in line, ahead of uh, the Patriots dude. And
Vrabel, yeah.
Vrabel. And I think if he wins that Seattle game, um, to end the season, he ends up as Coach of the Year. And so you're talking about one of the best coaches in the year. To me, it's like an overreaction. Like, this is just the result of having a very, good, I would say, 4 NFC championship games in 6 years or whatever it was run. Like, unfortunately, we didn't get it done in that window. Where I get concerned is that, and they've said this multiple times, is that you're looking, or they want to be competitive or whatever, in contention for a decade. And to me, like, you can be in playoff contention for a decade, but you can't really be in Super Bowl contention for a decade, really. Like, I mean, and what that tells me is that, and if you are, it's probably, or if you're in playoff contention for a decade, it's like you enter the mediocrity hell that the Steelers have been in for like the last 10 years, where you're 8-8, 9-8, or whatever it is, like, and not really a contender for a Super Bowl, but you're, I guess, entertaining enough and good enough to make the playoffs just to get smashed in round one. And that's where I don't want to be. And so I agree. It's like you either have to like commit to a rebuild or go all in whilst the guys have one or two more years left. And that's what I'm scared we're going to get into. I did agree. I think I saw like the episode with Coach the other day where you said like the 49ers have to be basically perfect in order to get it right. I agree with that. They need a hit on a higher percentage of draft picks, but I also know that they came into a situation that was awful and turned it around. And we had an amazing like 6-7 years there. And I don't know what's going on with the injury stuff, but unless you have somebody lined up who for a fact is better than Kyle Shanahan, which off the top of my head, I can think of maybe 2 or 3 guys, I'm not willing to concede that the Seattle coach is better than Kyle Shanahan because he was able to stop the 49ers offense with basically someone barely better than me at wide receiver. Like,
what if he wins a Super Bowl though?
To me, again, it's like that has more about timing than like actually being a great coach. Because I feel like if you put any of the 3 49ers teams in this year, Kyle Shanahan has 3 Super Bowls. I think those Niner teams were at a minimum just as good, if not better. And what's he going to face? Drake May in the fucking Super Bowl?
Let me push back a little bit on this, just for the sake, like, so 2023. Well, no, the last time they made the Super Bowl 2 years ago. 2023. We were far more talented than that Chiefs team. That Chiefs team. We should have done with that Chiefs team what the Eagles did the very next year, because that Chiefs team was just as bad as it was that went to the Super Bowl and got their teeth kicked in by the Eagles. Now, the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, who we probably both agree, not my cup of tea at quarterback by any means, somehow, some way went in and dominated that Chiefs team, and we couldn't do it with as good of a team as we had. Like, that's disappointing. We should have won that Super Bowl, man. There's no way that the Chiefs should have competed with us and then beat us in overtime. It just shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. No, I trust me, you have to. I was heartbroken for like literally an entire year over that Super Bowl. You don't have to like convince me that we should have won. I think I do think that the Eagles defense was better than ours was in 2023. Like, especially their D line was just much better. I think their offensive line, obviously, much better. I think, I remember having a conversation with you last year going in the offseason about how, Kyle Shanahan, his scheme is built on, he thinks he can avoid the offensive line or addressing the offensive line because it's built on, keeping the defensive off balance. But that's predicated on the offense being able to run the football. Because if you can run the football and you have the defense wanting to basically, having to protect against that, then it sets up like play action and all the stuff he wants to do in the pass game. And if he can't run the football, that's why you see like his record in fourth quarter, come from behind fourth quarter deficits is like 1-40 or whatever it is. Because if you put him in a situation where the defense knows he has to pass, this offensive line can't hold up because they're not going to be off balance. And the defense can play a defense that's going to shut his offense down. And so that's why he's so much better with a lead than when he has to come from behind like late in the game, and he can't run the ball to get the defense where he wants them, then to set up the pass. And so, I think, yeah, to me though, it's like how can you cannot deny the fact that Kyle Shanahan is a great coach, especially after this year.
No. Listen, I want to be very clear. Kyle Shanahan is a very good coach. And I got to let you go here in a minute because I do have someone else waiting. But you and I agree. Kyle Shanahan's a very good coach. I said last offseason I wouldn't fire him. I've said this offseason I absolutely wouldn't fire him. I just think that overall with this team and whether that's Kyle or that's Lynch or whoever's making these picks, they have to be relieved of those duties at the very least. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of them, but they have to be relieved of those duties if you want any chance of saving these drafts. And I just look at it and I'm like, man, because we've faltered the last few years and because we've done things like faltered in the draft in the last few years, and because we've done things like extend CMC and Trent Williams and some of these other guys, it's put us in a position where the Seahawks and the Rams have passed us again. And not only that, they're going to continue to probably draft well because that's what they do, but they have a lot more money than we do to enter free agency. Like if you're looking at it, just imagine you're a free agent for a second and you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, so this team is younger, better, just beat the brakes off of you, and they can match the money that is being paid to me, if not even offer me a little bit more because they have more money. I'm going to choose that. As a free agent, like that's the no-brainer choice is let me go play for Seattle or the Rams or whatever. It's not like they're coached bad or they have bad organizations. So it's just going to be hard, man, to truly compete over the next couple of years, in my opinion, because unfortunately, yes, the league is down, but the division is up, and that's tough.
There was a couple of things in there. One is, the Seattle Seahawks have more money than us. They're also not getting back 3 future Hall of Famers. We're getting back 3 future Hall of Famers, and we have $100 million or whatever in dead cap to spend. So there's that. I agree with you. To be honest, though, this is going to sound...
But I don't think we're getting Kittle back this next year. And if we are, we're getting a shell of a player back coming off of that.
No, I hear you. And that is my other point, though, is like even I feel like with the AC, I think Warner will be okay. I
do too.
The ACLs, though, and the Achilles, it's typically like you can get back after a year. It's typically like 2 years before you're back to like where you were. So, but so I agree with that. The last point I'm gonna say though is that this stupid substation, the electric substation thing, that scares me more than not being able to attract free agents, even though I honestly don't believe it has anything to do with the injuries that are being caused. But it's like a big enough rumor now that you have to fucking move the thing. Like you have to get rid of it. And I saw something that was like going to cost $20 million to move, like whenever it was supposed to. It's like $20 million. The Raiders are paying 5 coaches $20 million a year right now. So it's like, pay the money, get it moved so it's not an issue. Like, that is literally pocket change for these guys. So if they don't move it, like I honestly, that's going to cost you free agent. Because like if you're a player, to me, it's like, even if you don't know for sure, why would you even risk that this thing could either A, cause cancer, or B, cause injuries? Like, it's so stupid. Move the thing.
Listen, one thing that we have to admit, and I'm not trying to turn this political, but here's what I will say is, regardless of your political stance, it is very clear that if you lean right, you believe in this more, and if you lean left, you believe in it less. Now, that's not always the case. I'm not saying that if you're left or right that you can't go the opposite. I'm just saying, usually talking, that's the case here. And just so you know, whether you like it or not just you, I'm just saying in general, whether you guys like it or not, most combat athletes, whether they're MMA guys, they're NFL guys, like these guys that are tailored in this way, they lean right. So if you don't think that
Mhm.
they're having these conversations and really taking this seriously, I think that you're kidding yourself. I think that you're getting a lot of these players would
Mhm.
believe something like that. And whether it's true or
1000%.
not, I'm not here to debate that. I'm not here to talk about political whatever. I'm just telling you what the facts are. So that is a real issue. I actually agree with that, Flav.
Yeah, and if you don't move it, you better have like doctors coming out giving press conferences on why it's like not a thing. But to me, it's like I don't even want that. I want them to come out and say, look, we didn't think we know it wasn't a thing. We had the best doctors come out and the best everything come out, check it out. And they said it wasn't an issue, but we ended up just moving it anyway, just to be extremely safe. And it was ugly to look at. And we ended up putting in this amazing facility in right there anyway, because we wanted to make use of that land or something like that. Like, you need to move it at this point, because the rumors are not going to stop. And then why wouldn't you want to just to say, look, we're willing to try anything at this point just to try to change up like the juju, you know, like. So anyways, dude. All right, buddy.
All right,
I'll let
bro.
you go.
I'll talk to you. All right, man.
Later.
Hey, listen, I don't really care. Like, I don't know enough about it to have a strong opinion one way or another, but that's the reality of it. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's just, it is what it is. And we can say, hey, it's science or whatever. Sure, of course, science backs things up, but there, listen, man, there's a lot of ways I can go that even if science backs it up one way or the other, people are going to have their beliefs. They just are. So it is what it is. The reality is exactly what I said. And you're not changing my opinion on that portion of it. All right, let me go to Niner Empire DMV. It's been a long time since I've talked to this gentleman. Long time. See what he's talking about. What's up, brother?
What's up? What's up, Jesse? How's everything
How
going?
you been, man? Good.
I've been good,
man.
I've been good. It was just an interesting season. It was a very interesting season. Ups and
For sure.
downs. I mean, I hear a lot of people's takes. I mean, if we really look at it, did we really think we was gonna go away to the Super Bowl with an injured roster
No.
like this? No.
No.
Like,
No.
we got to be realistic. Like, we were playing with house money. We did the best we could do. We had some good wins. We lost some tight games. But you can't overcome injuries of key players on your defense, on your offense. Ricky Parcell, he has potential, but when we ever going to see a full potential of it if he can't stay on the field?
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's a situation where we've been going through this since the Harbaugh era, the Mike Nolan era. We've always had injury issues. This is nothing new. Our offensive line, yes, our center sucks. We need a center. We need a center bad. They've already extended Colt McKivick, so I'm over that. He's going to be here. But you need to find a replacement for Trent Williams. Trent Williams is on his pretty much is on his he's counting down. You gotta bolster this line. We have to get the offensive line better. It's just it's not going to work. Like 2 years, I saw you at Coach's show the other day. Y'all had some good takes. Like, y'all both went wrong. I can see if both of y'all was like just talking, just spitting out whatever, but y'all both not wrong. You have a lot of issues on this roster that you need to fix. You have drafted a lot of people that have not panned out. We're not great at drafting. I get it. We can get a diamond in the rough here and there. I get it. But we've been missing. Like Mikael Williams, I agree with you. What do we know what Mikael Williams can do? He got injured. He has an ACL injury. We have to wait until he has a full season, fully recovered, to see what he can bring to this defense. We saw a taste of it, a piece of it, unfortunately. Nick Martin, he couldn't even touch the field. He's not ready. With all these injuries, you had to bring in 3 linebackers, almost 4 linebackers off the street, and you have a drafted linebacker that can't make it on the field.
Yeah.
That's a miss. It's a miss. Upton Stout, great addition. Doing well. I like that we're playing the rookies. We've never done that before. We had to. So you're getting development out of your rookies. So I understand that. But at the end of the day, the cap is going to eventually hit you. So getting rid of Brandon Ayuk, hey, look, that's a problem that has been going on for 2 years now. If you want to leave, let him leave. Get him out of here. He's not doing it the 49 way anyway. I keep preaching that we have to start doing stuff the 49 way.
Mm.
I need Kyle to be more. I need him to be more disciplined, have more discipline. Some of the things these players are doing on the team, the dancing, every time we score, we celebrate. Stop. Get back to the fundamentals. Get back to what we do best, winning Super Bowls. You know how we win Super Bowls? By drafting the right pieces, bolstering our line. Most of our 49ers Super Bowls, we had great trenches, great offensive linemen, no matter what. We always had good offensive line. We always had good defensive linemen. And the other pieces fell into play. You look at our defense, okay, Nick Bosa, like you said, third ACL. Okay. Do we really think he's going to come back and be this, oh my God, great thing? We don't know.
Well, and this is the other thing people are forgetting. For 2 years, people have talked about how Bosa's play is taking a dip. People were frustrated with Bosa before he left and got hurt. Like, are we forgetting that? Like, I don't necessarily agree fully with that, but a lot of people were down on Bosa for 2 seasons, and then now he's gotten hurt, and you're like, oh, well, he'll just be Bosa again. So are we talking about 3 years ago Bosa, or the Bosa he was that a lot of y'all were upset with anyways? So people forget that.
Bosa, I didn't want to draft Bosa. I wanted Josh Allen Hines. That was me. I wanted Josh Allen Hines. I didn't want Bosa because I knew, I called it in my 49er chapter. I said, Bosa's going to be a financial problem. They was like, no, but he's such a great player. I said, yeah, but he's a Bosa. Joey Bosa showed you exactly what Nick Bosa was going to do. They played the same playbook, verbatim. When the season came for his contract and we was in the off season, I called going to get Chase Young early. When I live in DC, so when they said Chase Young was up for a draft pick, I said, "Well, go get him because Bosa's going to sit. He's going to hold his contract out until he get to what he want. He's going to hold out." Everybody's like, "Oh no, they're going to sign him." I said, "Watch." I called it. I said he's going to wait till the last minute to sign, and then he's not going to be in tip top shape. He's going to be off. And then what happened? Halloween. One of my chapter members called me. He said, "Sean, you was right. They traded exactly what you said. Trade a conditional 3rd round pick for Chase Young. Boom. You got yourself a good person, young. You can see what you can do. Add him to the lineup. Let's see what he do." He didn't do bad. It was some games where he did great, but at the end of the day, we didn't keep him. We've picked up Keon White. Keon White is a good pickup. I think for the defensive line rotation, he was a good pickup. And usually, we don't really, getting people from the Patriots kind of iffy. They sometimes be fool's gold. So, like, you got to be careful trading with the Patriots because Patriots always trade when their stock is the highest. So, you got a good pick. But looking at how your CJ West is playing, Alfred Collins is playing, you have a good core to build on. You have young core that you can build on. We can add to that from the draft, signing some people. I ain't gonna lie, I like Alex Pierce. I want to get him. He'll be a good receiver to bring into the locker room that can add to our offense. What about Kyle Pitts? Another tight end that I like that's young, not really getting no exposure. Devin Cope for the Bucks. Tyler Lindenbaum, he'll be a good person to pick up for line.
But he'll probably go to the Giants because his boy's over there now. Harbaugh,
yeah. So whatever. But it's certain pieces we need if we're gonna try to make this run. You basically got until the end of Brock Purdy's contract to make it to the Super Bowl and win. You don't have that much time. You got to keep Brock upright. Got to keep him healthy. He's not a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback for our system. Yes, he doesn't have strength in his arm. I get that. But we need to open up the offense. You pick and choose who you're going to use every week. Jordan Watkins is always a healthy scratch. He runs a 4.3. He's 6+ height. Why are we not using him? Robinson. You bring in Robinson to be the speedster. How many times did we really use him this season?
Yeah.
How many times was he involved in the rotation? Jordan James was a joke. That's another joke. Isaac Guerendo's a joke. I like Isaac Guerendo. I like him. But I just don't understand why we're not using all our running backs. You got Robinson from the Commanders. You use them, and then 1 minute it's, oh no, we're not going to use them right here. Like on short downs that you need tough yards, put Robinson in, run it up the gut. Like some of the play calling in that Seattle game. That pitch with Kyle Juszczyk, he's ran that 3 times. Stop running it. And you ran to the short side of the field. Really, Kyle? Come on, man. Like it's just like it's certain things. I get it. A lot of fans are questioning, dude, we should fire Kyle. Who you gonna get? I was like them, but I was like, who we gonna get? And what he did with this roster to even make it to the second round of playoffs, you got to give him credit for that. That's hell of a coaching. John Lynch, you did a good job in picking up key pieces that look good. Wallow was a good pickup. Kendricks, we won them last year. We couldn't get them. We got them this year. Mac Jones, you know Kyle always wanted Mac Jones. That was his crush. He got him. Look how he did in the offense. Mac Jones looked like a good, serviceable quarterback that could start. And there's nothing wrong with having 2 quarterbacks in your organization that both can start at any moment. You got your main starter and you got a backup that can start. I wouldn't trade him. Keep him. That's good insurance. We know if Brock Purdy goes down, which, stuff happens to us. So Brock Purdy could go down hell in preseason.
Listen, I actually want to bring this up and I'm glad that you are, because I had forgotten about it. When somebody else was on, I was thinking about it. This season, say what you want, about the Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, whatever. But if this team doesn't have Mac Jones, there's nothing that's really separating us from being the same team we were the year prior at all. Because those quarterbacks, if we had those quarterbacks from a year ago, we probably don't win many, if any, of those games that he won.
Don't
we
win the
certainly
Rams
aren't beating
game.
the Rams. Definitely not
Nope.
winning that game. We're probably not winning really any of those games. So Mac Jones is the difference between a 6-win season and a 13-win season, because he kept things alive essentially long enough for Brock Purdy to come back and take things back over. So, yeah, man.
I mean, just if you think about it and you really look at the whole grasp of everything, people really thought in their mind that we can make it to the Super Bowl with a vanilla, just a injury-prone offense and defense. Ricky Parcell is every week. He's practicing during the week. He's not playing. He's practicing during the week. He's not playing. I'm to the point. You need to have a sit down with Ricky Parcell. Be like, look, it's not working out. Like, you either gonna stay on the field or we got to get rid of you. Like Juwan Jennings, glad he stayed. Will you bring him back? You have to. Unless you're gonna go after another receiver. A lot of people saying trade for Justin Jeffries. Why? He wouldn't fit in our offense. You want to know why? Because Kyle doesn't like receivers like that. Look at the type of receivers that he drafts. Look at the type of receivers he keeps on the roster. That's not a type of receiver he likes. We got to understand what he wants in this offense. He runs Christian McCaffrey in the dirt. Hey, you'll keep running in the dirt till he get injured, like like the year he got hurt. Then you resorting to the backups. You should have been sparing McCaffrey all year, but you didn't. So it's a lot of lessons we had to learn from this season so we can move forward. Now, I commend them for playing, like I said before, I commend them for playing on the rookies, but you had to. If you didn't have to play the rookies, Alfred Collins probably wouldn't have saw the field. CJ West probably would have saw the field. It's a lot of people that would not have saw the field. Period.
Yeah, but we saw him. We still, that's the thing though, is we saw him on defense. We didn't see him on offense. Kyle doesn't like to play him on offense, and that's been true. Hey, brother, I do gotta jet. Appreciate you calling in. It's been a long time. It's good to hear from you. I'm glad everything's going well with you, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. All right, Jesse.
All right, bro. All right, man. Later. I saw a lot of you guys bringing up the Robinson Speedster thing. I think he got out ahead of his skis there. I think he was talking about Cowing. He was talking about guys that didn't see the field this year. And Cowing definitely didn't see the field this year. So that was my assumption. Maybe not. Neil says, Jesse, if Darnold sinks it up on Sunday, you have to burn that poem on the round table. Much love to you. And had another great season listening to you. Yeah, that poem was brutal, man. Poem was brutal. Mel Miller says, so don't fire Kyle. He's coach of the year, but his decisions are the reason that we lose. I think this was going back to when Flav was on there. Yeah, I hear you. Eric Dane says, this season was like the ending of Cool Runnings. You get bonus points for showing resilience, but you still flip the bobsled at the end. Nice. You know, it's funny that you bring that up. I was thinking of Kyle. I always do this thing where my mind correlates MMA with the 49ers or some sort of analogy. And I just kept thinking of Kyle Shanahan. Like, for those of you MMA fans, you'll understand this. If you're not an MMA fan, this is going to go way over your head and you're not going to give a rip. But I digress. Kyle Shanahan to me, or I should say his dad, is like the Gracies, right? Started a whole new thing where it's like, man, look at this. We can have these offensive linemen that are lightweight, but they're keeping the defense off balance. And so it works for us, like jiu-jitsu, where it uses leverage against you. And it doesn't matter your size. Once you get to the ground, you can use somebody's leverage against them and get them in positions that are compromising. And jiu-jitsu was great. The Grace Jiu-Jitsu way was phenomenal. It won the first few UFCs outright. They sent their worst descendant out there and Hoist, and he's mopping fools up who look like killers and were great stand-up fighters or what have you. They had no idea what was happening. Well, then when you fast forward, right, which is like the next iteration, so you go from Mike Shanahan to Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's kind of like Matt Hughes, where it's like, all right, so Matt Hughes fights Gracie all these years later, and he dominates him and beats him basically at his own game because he was a strong wrestler and he incorporated the jiu-jitsu. So he took the scheme and evolved it and made it something better, which is what Kyle's done. But unfortunately, Matt Hughes eventually met a GSP and so forth and so on. This goes all the way down the line until you see the fighters that you see now, where it's like, yeah, they know jiu-jitsu, but if you just know jiu-jitsu, you're going to get creamed. You can't just use body weight and leverage against your opponent. You have to know how to actually fight now, on top of knowing how to use body weight and leverage and all the tricks of the trade. And so that's kind of what I thought about when I thought about the Shanahans, and especially how they look at the offensive line in particular, where it's like, yeah, all that's great, but it's really just jiu-jitsu. And you gotta have people movers. You gotta be big, strong, and fast on top of using leverage against your opponent. So I don't know. Hopefully that made sense for some of you guys. It's like two of you that are like, yeah, Jesse, that I got it. The rest of you are like, dude, what the are you talking about? All right, man. I appreciate y'all. I might be back. Shut up, great one. I might be back later in the week, potentially, but there's a good chance that I'm not back for like 10 days. Just a heads up. I'm going to be in the middle of moving. And so that move starts next week. Internet and stuff gets installed midweek. So there's a good chance that I'm not back for a while. Other than I'll do some shorts for sure to keep the channel alive, but I might not do a live stream for about 10 days or so. So just a heads up, unless we get some breaking news or something, it's a good chance you don't see me for about 10 days. I'm here. I'm good. I'm just in the middle of a move. So appreciate y'all. Much love. Have a blessed evening. We'll talk soon. Peace.